What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room, episode 332. And welcome to the War Room, where we meet every Tuesday night at 8:30. We've been doing it now since March 14th of 2020. And right on cue, my co-hosts have arrived. If you're new to the War Room, this is when the show goes to hell. The first 5 minutes, technically perfect. And then the pugs show up. This is Friday, who just went outside and refused to do anything in the snow because she doesn't like it, right? Where's your sister? I heard she was a good girl. Come over here. Come over here. There you go. Let me turn on the pug cam so everybody can say hi properly. Say hi, girls. Sit down, Friday. Sit. Good girl. You can find them on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. This is Wednesday. This is Friday. The younger sister that is, well, as you can see, the instigator and the total pain in the ass. Hey, be nice to your sister. That's not nice. Hey, over here. Over here. Sorry about last week, guys. I apologize that we did not have the show last week. We've been going through a lot over here with the family, so I needed to take the night before Thanksgiving. Got to say, what's up to everybody checking in on the show already in the comments. Keith and Sherry, Brett and Bish, Lisa and Jessica, Tracy and Donna, CL Smooth on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, I can only see your handle. I can't see your actual name like I can on Facebook. Melissa and Mr. Cole, Carol and Kim and Alexis. And let me see. Oh, I got some treats. Thank you very much, Mr. C. Mr. C's the husband. Come here. Sit down nicely. There you go. Okay. Hold on. Let me put the pug cam on so everyone can see you do your tricks for 2 seconds before you. Okay, everybody sits back. Good girls. Can I have your paw? Thank you. Can I have the other? No, I want the other paw. I want this one. No, I want this one. Paw. Okay, there you go. Wednesday, can I have your paw? Paw, thank you. Can I have the other paw? Thank you. Good girl. Okay, there you go. Let me see. Chris Lake joining us on Instagram. Brett and Donna, Mr. Bishop, Lisa and Sherry. Everybody says hi, Mr. C. Let's see. Happy Giving Tuesday. Yeah, today is Giving Tuesday. So you get Thanksgiving, then you get Black Friday, then you get Small Business Saturday, then you get Sunday to rest, then you get Cyber Monday, and then you get Giving Tuesday. So today is the day to support your favorite and local nonprofit, which is great. So sending hugs to you and your family, says Melissa. Yeah, so let me kind of catch you guys up on what was going on. So the last time we were here in the War Room, you guys met Gordon, my aunt's puppy. So my aunt stayed here for like 2.5 weeks because her husband, my uncle, was in the hospital, and it was closer for her to be here at my house to get to the hospital, especially in case of an emergency, than it was where she lives. And so she stayed here with me, and Gordon was interesting with all of the dogs here in the house. Sit down. Sit. Good girls. And so what the Backstage Pass holders know that you guys don't know yet is that the day after Thanksgiving, my uncle actually passed away. And so it has been a really rough couple of weeks for the family. This was not an expected thing. It escalated pretty quickly. And as you guys are very well aware, we lost my mom right before Christmas last year. So we haven't even gotten to the anniversary of her passing yet. And my aunt, who just lost her husband, that's my mom's sister. So within the year, she lost her sister and her husband. And so my uncle, well, I never called him uncle because they married after I was kind of already an adult. And I think, you know, you grow up calling people auntie and uncle, and then once you're a full-blown adult, when somebody enters the family, you get introduced by the first name, and that's kind of how it sticks. But he was, in fact, my uncle, and a wonderful guy. And at my house, I don't know how you guys are, but we have different family traditions. And because we do Thanksgiving and Christmas at my house, my sister and I cook for everybody. Everybody kind of has one job. And it's always been a joke that the youngest member of the family has to pick the ends off the green beans. And now we've got some younger members of the family, and my nephew Zach, actually, who grew up with the green bean job. He's now active duty Coast Guard, and he lives down in DC. And so we were kind of joking that like the next youngest member of the family is getting to the point where they can handle the green bean responsibility. And so there were people that, just have these very specific jobs. My other cousin, he is in charge of gravy and making the whipped cream. We have all the ingredients here, but those were his two things, that we strain the drippings from the turkey. He makes the gravy, and then after dinner, he makes fresh whipped cream, and that's his extent of his responsibilities. And my uncle would always come and hang out in the living room and watch football and just wait to be called in the 11th hour. And it was his only job was to carve the turkey. That was his job. He had one job. Whatever he needed to accomplish that mission, we got him, whether it be the giant, huge forks to lift it. We had like a 34-pound turkey, so it was always just this big, giant thing. And that was his one job. And so, with a very rare exception, the entire time that we have had the holidays here at my house, which is 15 plus years now, that's been my uncle's job. And so it was, he was in the ICU on Thanksgiving this year. Mr. C stepped up and took the responsibility of carving the turkey. And it was just a very sobering thing that we lost my uncle the next day, with the realization that like every holiday now, that vacancy is just going to be all the more noticed because he's not here. So while the holidays, are a great time to get together with family, and obviously Thanksgiving, the excuse to kind of be thankful for what you have. The holidays also, and we talked a lot about this around the holidays last year because of my mom, they also show people what they're missing. They also kind of accentuate that vacancy of the person that used to be there. And so I have a lot of empathy for, people around the holidays that are missing a parent or a spouse or a child or a best friend or somebody, because when you have all of those kind of traditions, whether it was the traditional summer vacation together or, we always spent New Year's Eve together, or like whatever it is, when that tradition gets broken, it's just really sad. And so, we're in the planning of the services portion of his loss. And unfortunately, my sister and I, having just kind of processed everything in the loss of my mom within the last year, we've been able to kind of help my aunt in a lot of ways because we just went through all of this. And we've had these conversations several times here in the War Room when I say, the best thing that you can do for your loved ones is to kind of have all of your affairs in order. We've talked about it ad nauseum here. And it's something that was discussed at Thanksgiving. And it's something that the holdout members of my family that have not done that yet are starting to do, because going through another loss with the family, people are, really starting to understand like, wow, we're all getting older. And this is something that we need to make sure that the next generation is taken care of, and that these things are kind of all, known, that wishes are known, that, if you were to become incapacitated, what your wishes would be. Do you want to be an organ donor? How you want things to go? And we had a lot of those discussions again this year. And I at least, these conversations are happening, albeit really hard. But as we have all talked about here in the War Room, it's just easier for those that are left behind, especially the ones that are in charge of kind of coordinating everything, when your wishes are known, so that we, as the loved ones left behind, know exactly what you wanted. And that was something that we talked to my aunt a lot about, because when it came time to make hard decisions about things, we were like, well, did you guys have this conversation? And she said, yes. And so we were like, okay, well, whatever he said in that conversation, you don't have to make a decision, because sometimes these decisions are hard and you feel like you're giving up on someone when they, are in the hospital and really sick. And it's like, well, no, this was their wishes, whether it be language of a DNR, whether it be not wanting to live on life support, like all of those things, whether or not you want to be an organ donor, when these things are all known, it lets the people that love you off the hook, that they're not having to give up on you or make decisions worried that it's not what you wanted, because they know what you wanted. And so as my sister and I were having conversations with my aunt, we would say, well, he told you this is what he wanted. These are his wishes. It's your job to just carry out his wishes. And that's just really helpful for the people that love you when they just know what you want. So Keith says, there is nothing whipped about my cream. What's up, William? He says, hello to the War Room family. Let's see. Melissa says, went to North Carolina 3 weeks ago because my dad was sick. He succumbed to his illness on Sunday, November 23rd. Lost the transmission to my truck in New Jersey on the drive down to North Carolina. Rented a car to go and see Dad. It took a week and a half for my truck to be done. Spent the last week in New Jersey waiting for it to be fixed. Spent Turkey Day with me, myself, and I. We had turkey pot pie. Oh, Melissa, I am so sorry. Mr. Cole says, good company for dinner, though. With my mom's recent leukemia diagnosis, Bish says, it has been, I've been in talks with my lawyer to assist with affairs. Yeah, that's the thing, is that you think that it's a morbid thing, but it's actually really not, because you're just kind of getting all of these hard decisions out of the way, have it all written down, put it in a folder, put it away. You don't have to think about it again until it comes time for you to actually have to think about it. And then there's not a lot of decisions that need to be made because all of that stuff is done. So Mr. Cole says, how's Mr. C holding up with the cold weather? It's going to be a whole lot colder later this week. He's doing okay. He does not like the colds, and he has been handling it okay. The fires are going. It's nice and warm here. We have started to decorate the Christmas tree. Everything is a little bit delayed this year, not only because Thanksgiving was so late in November, but also everything that was going on with my uncle. So I don't have the War Room decorated yet. It'll be decorated before the show next week. The Christmas tree is not fully decorated. There's lights on it, but there's no ornaments on it yet. By the end of the week, all of the holiday decorating will be done, and then it can just be something where we just kind of get to enjoy a couple of weeks of the holiday season. You guys know how I am with the holiday stuff, is that once Christmas is over, I start cleaning up after it, and I do not bring the holidays into New Year's, that the tree is down, the house is back to normal by New Year's Eve, so I can wake up on New Year's Day and not have to clean up a big giant mess or whatever. So I'm all about the holiday season while it's here between Thanksgiving and Christmas, with the music and the decorations and all that. But once it's over, I want it the hell out of my house. So, and of course, the big first snowfall today. So for anybody that's outside of New England, we're getting kind of our first glimpse at winter. We've had some flurries a couple of times, but today is the first plowable snow. So Eric says, sorry I'm late. Adopted a bonded pair of pitty pups, Ophelia and Travis. Yes, Taylor Swift and Travis reference. Oh my God, Eric, that is adorable. Let's see. The only thing fake I enjoy is a fake tree. I got a real tree. I've always had a real tree growing up. It's just something that we do. And then around Groundhog Day, we always set it on fire in the yard, which is always really fun too. So there you go. You girls are being so very good. Oh, yes, you are. Here you go. Yes, Friday. You're being so good. So thank you guys for all of the well wishes. it's been a rough couple of weeks. Thanksgiving was really nice. The food came out nice. I put up a reel on Instagram and Facebook with the giant turkey and all of the food. I think for sit-down dinner, we had 29. By the end of the day, with dinner, dessert, and drinks after, I think we maxed out at 35 or 36 people at the house. So we had quite the crew in here. Kevin says, hello, everybody. Hope your Thanksgiving was good. Melissa says, if we get back into the house before Christmas decorations will be up until Valentine's Day. Melissa, you leave them up until next Christmas if you want. You are allowed. You've been out of your house because of a house fire for a year. When you get back, you decorate it any way that you want. Actually, I asked Jeff Plate from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which, by the way, added a new shirt to the collection. And I asked him, how do you celebrate the holidays? Because you guys are always on tour before Thanksgiving all the way through Christmas. And he told me in the interview on the podcast a couple of weeks ago that he celebrates the holidays on January 4th when he gets home from tour, and that they leave all of the decorations up and everything for him when he gets home. So that he can enjoy the holidays too. So Betty says, our Thanksgiving was crazy since I was released from the hospital Wednesday. Not able to do much. Lost it because, but I lost it because, hello, you all need to learn stuff. I had such a trucker's mouth. Oh, let's see. Taylor Momsen rocked the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Yes, she did. So did Foreigner. We actually always have the parade on, and we always have the football game on locally because Leominster High School and Fitchburg High School have one of the oldest football rivalries in the country. And we had the parade on, and all of a sudden there's Busta Rhymes. And I was like, between Taylor Momsen and Busta Rhymes and Foreigner, they were pulling out all the stops this year on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Let's see. Alexis says, I ended up breaking my elbow, so my husband had to cook our dinner, but he did a pretty good job. Sorry to hear that, Alexis. Oh, that hurts. The Pretty Reckless just came out with a Christmas album. Well, it's an EP, and it came out on Halloween because when you're Taylor Momsen, why wouldn't you release your Christmas EP on Halloween? It's called Taylor Momsen's Pretty Reckless Christmas, by the way, and it's pretty good. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's available everywhere. So that's how things were here for Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. And like everybody was saying earlier, it is Giving Tuesday. It's the last day that's associated with your wallet. So there are a lot of people that obviously are having to be a little bit more creative when it comes to holiday shopping this year because money is tight. And so I'm going to do my best to kind of bring you guys all different kind of money saving opportunities, including Ticketmaster, who's extending their Black Friday sales through the end of December. So Ticketmaster has got a 50% off ticket deal. They have got a BOGO deal, and they have also got Me+3 discounted tickets if you buy them by the 4-pack. So it's not for all shows, but Ticketmaster is doing a deal. And I always tell you guys, if you've got somebody on your shopping list and you just don't know what to get them, concert tickets are always a great gift, especially if you make the plan to go together. Like if you got that Me+3, that you get a pair of tickets for you, a pair of tickets for the person that you're shopping for, because then you automatically, especially with friends or people you don't get to see all the time, you know you're going to get together next year for something fun besides the holidays or a funeral because you're going to that concert together. So I just think concert tickets are an awesome giveaway, and we've talked about it a lot. Stacy says, how about that Jack White and Eminem mashup during the halftime show, the Lions game? Legendary. Stacy, it was awesome. We happened to turn it on and see it just in time. And I think that is the magic of what the Super Bowl kind of used to be. Like, remember when Aerosmith was on with NSYNC and Britney Spears? Like, those collaborative performances, those surprise performances like the Grammys, they do it all the time. Or like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performances where they're these all-star kind of jams. It's kind of all encompassing. And this isn't a statement against Bad Bunny because he's one of the biggest stars in the entire world, and the NFL is going global. So, of course, they're trying to bring in new audiences. But I really love those collaborative performances. And I thought Jack White and Eminem, who, by the way, Eminem executive produced that halftime show of the Lions game on Thanksgiving, and he handpicked Jack White for that performance. So that's a pretty big nod for Jack White to get hand selected by Eminem. Of course, both of those guys, proud lineage from Detroit. So let's see. Hello, Rachel. Eric says, my wallet feels like it needs the Betty Ford clinic. Yeah, don't we all? Like, I am just getting to the end of all of my Thanksgiving leftovers, all the extra food that I bought. I've made all of the soups. I've frozen everything that I can freeze. I've made my turkey pot pies. I've made the turkey salads and the ham salads, and like stretching that food because it was so expensive to kind of put all of that together for, 35, 36 people, that eating the leftovers and getting creative with eating those leftovers is something that just needs to happen. So look at how nice they can be when they think they might get cookies. Look at how nice they are. Yes. Yes, I know, Piranha. I know. You want cookies too. Okay, come down here. There you go. Sit down. So yeah, I think we could all use a little bit of a break with the holiday shopping. And unfortunately, we're like 23 days away from Christmas. So yeah. Isn't Jack White from Detroit? Yeah, Bish, that's why. Jack White and Eminem, both from Detroit. Carrie, did you and Mr. C enjoy TSO? Best show I've seen them do. Yeah, we got the shirt. You guys know my policy when it comes to getting tickets from artists and from tours is that if we get sent tickets, and we got sent some tickets from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, courtesy of Jeff Plate and everybody that came on the show. So we got hooked up with merch. We went, a whole group of people. My sister went. We saw Mike Shue on the stage presenting the charity check. We were able to bring some friends. We actually went to a bar beforehand, and one of the guys that came with me and Mr. C and my sister and some of her friends was somebody that I met on my trip to Afghanistan, one of the guys that protected me there. We ended up getting into a conversation with a guy who was on a date with his girlfriend at the bar waiting to go to Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And it turns out I met that guy in Iraq in 2006, which was just crazy. He was one of the 181 engineers from Western Mass. So we got to say what's up to him if he's watching. It's always so cool. Like, it's been almost 20 years since I met those guys in Iraq. And when I bump into them, it's pretty awesome and very special. So Shane says, am I the only one that despises most of the Thanksgiving leftovers? Shane, I am not on your side, my friend. I am all about pie for breakfast after Thanksgiving, all about homemade turkey pot pie, making waffles out of leftover stuffing. I am all about the Thanksgiving leftovers. And obviously the soup. I've been making soup like crazy, and we'll be making another batch of soup around Christmas. And then especially on a day like today where it's cold and windy and snowy outside, we eat a lot of soup in my house. So there you go. Oh, here you go. There you go, Wednesday. All right, that's the last one, girls. No more cookies. There you go. You guys did a very good job. Jessica, yes, Kid Rock is from Detroit. A lot of people are from Detroit. You know, I actually talked to Alice Cooper about that, because even though he's not from Detroit, they broke out of Detroit. So the MC5, there's a ton of bands that have come out of Detroit. Oh, Mr. Cole, pie, but not out of the middle of the pie. Who does that? So my cousin, the same one that makes the gravy and the whipped cream, cut a piece, and you guys saw the picture up on my Facebook page, cut a piece of pumpkin pie out of the middle of the pie and let us, for about 5 minutes, blame another cousin who had just left. We thought he did it and then left, and come to find out it was my cousin that was still there. He was like, I've always wanted to do that, and I finally got to live out my dream. And so he was the one that did it, and we know who did it. Bish says, my aunt calls November till March soup months. I get this urge. like right around like the second or third week of October, where I call it soup season. And I start craving soup. I start making soup like crazy. My cousin that lived here a couple years ago, her fiance was here with her, and he just watched the amount of soup that I made in my kitchen. And he was like, wow, you weren't kidding when you said this is soup season. And now he comes over to get frozen soup because he craves my soup, because he lived in my house for 9 months and left with soup on Thanksgiving because he was here, by the way. So Melissa says deranged people do that. Jessica says that was absolutely hilarious. He said he always wanted to do it. I'm glad that we were able to help him live out his dream of cutting a piece out of the center of the pie. That bastard. All right, if you're hanging out with us here in the War Room and you're wondering where the hell I've been and where you can hear me on the radio, you can hear me every weekday from 10 to 3 on Charleston's Best Rock, 98 Rock in Charleston, South Carolina. Stream the station live at my98rock.com or on the free 98 Rock app. You can hear me every weekday afternoon on 100 FM The Pike. You can stream the station at pikefm.com or download the free Pike app. And I got to give it up a huge thank you to Jeremy and all of the guys over at Boston Lawnmower Superstore, 2 Bridal Lane in Westboro, because we are doing a big contest, the King of Beers, King of Snow Thrower contest. You can qualify every Monday through the end of the year. And the Aaron's snow thrower that we're giving away, he hooked Mike Shue and I up with these snow throwers for the season. We don't get to keep them, but he wanted us to be able to use them so that we can talk about what an amazing machine this is when we're doing this contest. And yesterday afternoon, Boston Lawnmower showed up with the truck. They logoed out my snow thrower, and it is here. And Mr. C was playing with it earlier in the driveway. It throws snow 75 feet, which is kind of insane. Jeremy was telling me that when you go to buy a snow thrower, it is not the scoop. It's not the actual part that goes into the snow that you should be worried about. He said the biggest thing you need is the horsepower of the engine, because especially when we get a snowy season like we did back in 2015, there's so much snow that if your snow thrower does not have the horsepower to get the snow far away, you can't get the snow up over the piles of snow you've already made. And I can tell you that this thing is unbelievable. So if you are in the market for a snow thrower, go to Boston Lawnmower Superstore on 2 Bridal Lane in Westboro. Go tell Jeremy I sent you there and ask him about the kind of snow thrower you need based on how much snow you're going to be clearing. But these got delivered yesterday just in time for the snow. So I got to thank everybody at Boston Lawnmower because you saved us. Because my old one is like 15 years old and this thing is unbelievable. You can also hear me every weekday afternoon on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. You can listen live at 1063thebone.com and on the free Bone app. And most recently, as of Valentine's Day this year, you can hear me every weekday morning on Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield. You can listen at laser993.com, and you can also listen by downloading the free Laser app. So tons of places for you to hear me on the radio. Of course, you can check out the Mistress Carrie podcast anytime you want, and everything is always linked at mistresscarrie.com, just in case you can't remember. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, Melissa got us some new bartending books here in the War Room. And since today is Britney Spears' birthday, and we'll go through the birthdays in a couple of minutes, I thought that we would take a look at this book that we got from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Sip Me Baby One More Time, Cocktails Inspired by Pop Music's Iconic Women, which I just thought was kind of hilarious. So I did not pick out a drink as of yet because I wanted to do it together. And one of the things that I liked about this book is that it gives you a little bit of instruction in the beginning about flavored syrups and some of the other tricks of the trade. It has a special materials and ingredients section that it talks about things like ice molds and garnishes and bitters and the edible glitter and the different kinds of glasses and all of that stuff. So if you are new to mixology and you're just trying to figure out what you should have, especially if you're going to be entertaining around the holidays, learning about all of this stuff. There's tons of books out there. So this, I'm going to give this recipe out because it is Britney Spears' birthday and it is the first recipe in the book. It's called Every Time Feeling Blue Vodka Shot. So it's a shot. I mean, why not? It's an ounce of vodka, a quarter of an ounce of blue curacao, a quarter of an ounce of lime juice, blue edible glitter. It says place the vodka, the curacao, and the lime juice and the blue edible glitter into a cocktail shaker, shake for about 20 seconds, and then strain into a highball glass. You can order that edible glitter online, but if you haven't seen what it looks like, the edible glitter does take your drinks to the next level. So that's the Britney Spears drink. That's called an Every Time, and it's the edible blue vodka shot. In honor of Britney Spears for her birthday. So thank you very much for this book. It is very cool. There's a bunch of books that came from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so we will definitely be going over recipes. We didn't get together here in the War Room last week, so I want to just make sure that we go through a couple of the podcast episodes from the last couple of weeks. Episode 285, Corey Bolio from Trivium, who grew up in Maine. So hearing him talk about growing up a metal fan in Maine and trips to the Palladium and the shows that he got to see growing up in Maine, and obviously everything that's going on with the guys in Trivium, including their rehearsal and recording space down in Florida that they call the Hangar. It's basically an airplane hangar that they turned into a headquarters for Trivium and kind of all of the memorabilia that they found while moving into the hangar. And then last week, Don Barnes from 38 Special, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. They are going to be in town next week. And we talked about a lot of stuff, including when he met Ozzy Osbourne. Don Barnes has got a lot of amazing stories because 38 Special has been around for 50 years. And so hearing him talk about producers and bands and the bands that came up opening up for them that they opened up for. He's one of those guys that I love having on the show. I don't play a lot of 38 Special on my radio shows, but rock and roll royalty like this, these guys have all the stories. And these are the bands that all the bands we love that we grew up listening to were inspired by. So I loved having him on. Don Barnes from 38 Special on episode 286. Coming up tomorrow on episode 287. I don't know if you guys remember this band, but back in 2003, the guys from Revis came out with their debut album, and they had a massive hit with a song called Caught in the Rain. And they came up on my show a couple times when they came through Boston. They played acoustic. And then they were getting ready to release their sophomore album. And then the band broke up. And they had not been heard of or from in almost 20 years. The band is now back together with a new album called Killing Time. They are on the Creed cruise this April. They got back together and wrote so much music that they released Killing Time this year. They just released it a few weeks ago, and they're already working on another new album that they said is coming out next year. So being able to sit down with Justin and Robert to talk about the fact that they left Illinois and went out to LA to try and make a go of it in music. And within, I think, 6 months, they had a record deal. And then pretty soon, Caught in the Rain was one of the biggest songs on the radio that year. And all of that pressure and everything that happened broke the band up. And they talk all about it. These guys went to junior high school together. And so they talked about the band not being together for a while, and now what it was like to be able to put the band back together again. So just a really cool we talk about it a little bit. Bands like 3 Days Grace, Three Doors Down, those guys all were friends in high school and some in junior high. And so when you hear about these bands that grow up together and then fame kind of throws a wrench into everything and they break up, okay, go ahead. Seeing them get back together, is amazing. I mean, look at what happened with the guys from Creed. Now they're back together and kind of bigger than ever, and obviously doing another Creed cruise next year, and the guys from Revis are on it. So if you remember that song, Caught in the Rain, you remember the guys from Revis. They're from Illinois, and they are my guest this week on episode 287 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. So Bruins are getting smoked 5-2, says Bish. Melissa says, did the boat have edible purple glitter for your drink, the Mistress Carrie? Yes, they did. That regimental whiskey put the Mistress Carrie drink together. They put that edible glitter in there, and it makes it kind of translucent. That edible glitter is really, really cool. I just always kind of wonder, like, is it sitting in your digestive tract? There's that famous Dave Chappelle quote where he's like, I put diamonds in everything I eat, makes my dookie twinkle. Like, yeah, edible glitter. Glittery poop, I guess, is what happens. Betty says, had my first sips of Pepsi after 2 weeks. Of the slowdown. Oh, interesting. How are you doing with that? Carrie, did you hear Beyonce is now doing a rock album? I was reading on it. Apparently, there's going to be some big rockers on it, like Gaga, Miley possibly, and Post Malone. I think if Beyonce is going to do a rock record, I hope that she brings in established, well-known, credible rock musicians to be the band. I hope she doesn't use electronic music to be the band. If she's going to do a rock record, I hope she brings in like well-known either studio cats or guys from different bands to kind of be, hey, Friday, get off the table. So that to give that album some credibility, because I know that she was really kind of fighting an uphill battle trying to get credibility with her country album in Nashville and kind of in the country world. And so I think when it comes to rock and metal, working with producers like Brendan O'Brien or Marty Fredrickson or, any of the Four Horsemen, I think working with established rock and metal musicians, listen to me giving Beyonce, advice for her career. But I hope that she just doesn't just make a rock record and do it all with computers. Like, I hope that she does the in-studio jams and the writing sessions with a live band, because I think a lot of pop stars don't do that. Sometimes they have live musicians, like Taylor Swift tours with a live band, but a lot of these pop stars don't kind of write with a live band. And I think you can hear it. Slash talked to me about it on the podcast that, like, not only do they write that way, but his last solo album, they wanted to record as a band in the studio. And you can hear that kind of, that gelling of the musicians. And also everybody talks about it, the mistakes in rock and roll that you kind of have to leave in there because you don't want the computers to make everything too perfect. So Mr. Cole says, looking forward to next spring. Shot of Poison is psyched to be playing the Monsters of Rock pre-cruise party in Miami. More info up online. Mr. Cole's put the link there. Let's see. Did you get your biscotti? Carol, did I get my biscotti? Yeah, I got my biscotti. And by the way, Carol, just so you're aware, Denise, it's the same thing for you. I have cookie jars that are now exclusively for your biscotti in my kitchen. And no matter who comes over now, whether it be friends, whether it be family, those cookie jars are always there because I keep, I only take out as much biscotti as I think we're going to need, and I keep the rest in the freezer so I can ration them out. And people know those cookie jars are there now. And so people come looking for those biscotti. And so you guys have not just spoiled me, but you've spoiled everyone in my life. So yes, Carol, I got my biscotti and they are, as always, delicious. Friday, what are you doing? What? There's no more cookies. There might be a crumb left. You have a tapeworm. Bish says, well, she sucked in country. Now she's going to suck in rock, he says. Following along with you, she wants to do rock to do it right. Yeah, Betty, I hope she does it right. Like, and I hope the songs don't suck. Like, I think sometimes we've had this same thing happen with, music competition. We've talked to Lilith Czar about it. We talked to Chris Daughtry about it, about getting over that hump of being taken seriously because you were on a reality show. We've talked to people like Taylor Momsen about getting over that hump of people thinking you're not a serious rock musician because you were an actress. We talked to Chris Jericho about not being taken seriously as a rock artist because he was a wrestler. And rock is an audience of people that are willing to accept you in, but it's one of those things where showing respect for the craft, showing respect for the music, showing respect for the culture and the fans and the lifestyle, and not just wearing a retro Slayer shirt like the Kardashians do that they, picked up in some boutique on Melrose for $1,000, but actually tipping your hat to the great rock musicians. And Beyonce is a fantastic performer. She's a great singer. There are all of those memes about how many people get songwriting credits on her songs. A lot of it's to do with the samples that get used in a lot of her songs. But I'm very interested to see what Beyonce does if she's in fact going to make a rock record. Pat Boone made a metal record, for God's sake. So if he can do it, anybody can. All right, so episode 287 of the podcast comes out at midnight tonight with Justin and Robert from Revis. If you subscribe to the podcast, you get new episodes every Wednesday. Plus, you get the Sit Rep Monday through Friday, rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates. It's around 5 minutes long. You also get an abbreviated Sit Rep on Laser 99.3 and 98.5. That's about a minute long all day while you're listening to the radio. And you can also hear an abbreviated Sit Rep on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine as well. Podcast outlets, pretty much everywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find the Mistress Carrie podcast. Apple, Spotify, Odyssey, Pandora, iHeart. You can check out all the episodes. The audio is up on YouTube. It's part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. And you can just as easily just go to mistresscarrie.com, find the episode you want to listen to, and just click play. I keep hoping that we are going to get to 150 countries listening to the podcast. But right now we are still holding strong at 149. If you're celebrating your birthday today on December 2nd, you're in pretty good company. We were already talking about Britney Spears, who is 44 today. Also, Chris Wolstenholme from Muse, Nate Mendel from the Foo Fighters, and Rick Savage from Def Leppard. So if today's your birthday, happy birthday. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Denise says, hide some cookies in the skeleton jar in MCHQ. Denise, you know what's in the skeleton jar right now? Red and green M&Ms in my kitchen on the counter. In between the cookie jars, there is a thing of peanut M&Ms, which are Mr. C's favorite. So that's what's in that cookie jar right now, because that's in the kitchen on the counter as well. All right, let's talk about some music headlines. The 4-part Diddy documentary is on Netflix, premiering today, executive produced by 50 Cent. Their rivalry goes back decades. 50 Cent talking about how the reason why he was never friends with Diddy is because Diddy would try to take him shopping, and he thinks Diddy was trying to groom him into his freak-offs. He wanted nothing to do with it. He's been saying that Diddy was a creep for years, and so he commissioned a 4-part documentary that premiered on Netflix today. Diddy's lawyers filing a cease and desist, saying that some of the footage was illegally obtained, and they're going to sue for copyright infringement. So this is going to get interesting, but I can't wait to watch this because this whole Diddy thing is just crazy. Ozzy Osbourne, speaking of rivalries, Ozzy's family has come out with a limited edition line of merchandise going head on against Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. The front of the shirt says another prick in the wall because Roger Waters was very critical of the media in the UK because of their coverage when Ozzy passed away, and he was pretty much a prick about it. So the Osbournes were like, no problem, we've got you. There's also a really cool bat Christmas ornament and the plushy bat that has the removable head. That's all up on OzzyOsbourne.com in the online shop. Congratulations to Aerosmith, who this week premiered at number 9 on the Billboard Top 200 with Youngblood for the new EP, One More Time. Aerosmith is one of 5 artists to have a top 10 Billboard release in 6 consecutive decades. Decades! It's Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, Paul McCartney, and James Taylor have had an album in the top 10 in every decade since the 1970s, which is just insane for that new collaborative EP with Youngblood. And if you got to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra over the last week, whether it was up in Manchester, New Hampshire, the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut, at the DCU Center in Worcester, or any of the other touring stops that are going through right now, just a few of the pictures that I took. That is Mariah Formica from Plush, who is part of the cast of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. She was part of the West Coast cast for the last 3 years. She made it to the East Coast cast because her family is in upstate New York. And so when I put these pictures of Mariah, this is her, by the way, on the stage in the middle of the crowd with drones flying around her. Her mom actually follows me on Facebook and was liking all of the pictures. TSO, the show was great. So Mr. Cole, you're right. I always like just the straight up classical, like the Beethoven covers that they do, more so than even the holiday stuff that they do. But Trans-Siberian Orchestra is just an amazing live show if you ever get a chance to go and see it. Let me see. Happy birthday and happy unbirthday, Donna says, Keith. So yeah, do we say happy unbirthday? I'm sorry. It's just, I guess, happy. You're just like everybody else on your birthday, Keith. Happy birthday, not unbirthday anymore. Eric says Roger Waters can suck it. Carrie, do the rest of the members of Aerosmith get paid despite not playing with Stephen and Joe, but the use of the name? You know what, Bish? I don't know. That's a really good question. The way bands get paid, the revenue streams come from a bunch of different places. Songwriting credits, those are the publishing credits. And a lot of Aerosmith records, if you go and look at the liner notes, you'll see that it's Steven Tyler and Joe Perry. When a band just has song written by with like the band name, that means that all of the band members are splitting it equally. So if Aerosmith wrote a song and it just says written by Aerosmith, then each member of the band would get an equal 20% stake. But they have famously worked with songwriters as well, like Desmond Child. Obviously, they wrote these songs with Youngblood, so Youngblood's getting part of that songwriting credit. Then there's performance royalties, which are the royalties for the song's actual performance. So that includes the musicians that played on the actual recording. So for example, all of those original Kiss records, those performance royalties still go to Ace Frehley and Peter Criss, even if they don't have songwriting royalties for composing the actual song. So that's why Taylor Swift re-recorded her albums, because even though she was getting publishing as the writer, she was not getting all of the, because of the masters. She didn't own those recordings. So she re-recorded them so she would own those masters, and then she was able to buy them back. So there's all of that. And then when the band gets named, whoever copyrights and trademarks it is going to get use of the name. So if Joey Kramer, who hasn't played drums with Aerosmith in years now, even on the last residency in Vegas, I'm assuming he's still a partial owner in Aerosmith. But Aerosmith carried on without Joe Perry, you guys will remember, and even for a time without Steven Tyler, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know who owns the band. I mean, I'm sure somebody does, and I don't know who's getting paid. Like, I don't know if Brad Whitford or Tom Hamilton are getting paid if they played on that Youngblood album. So I don't know. It just depends on who wrote the songs and who actually played in the studio. So All right, let's go over some concert stuff because a bunch of stuff is getting announced all the time. Machine Gun Kelly is coming up at the Garden on the 12th. Then 9 Inch Nails in February. Bad Omens in March. Iron Maiden next September with Megadeth. And Rush, those 2 shows at the Garden next year. Come on, Wednesday. You coming up? Come on. DCU Center's got Bring Me the Horizon coming in May, and signs all over the DCU during Trans-Siberian Orchestra for Journey, the Final Frontier Tour. That's going to be there in June. Big Night Live, expecting more shows to get announced. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that. Xfinity Center shows are getting announced all the time. I told you that those outdoor shows, that this was not going to be blank for long. Hardy's going to be there at the end of June. Evanescence just announced this tour yesterday. It's Evanescence with Nova Twins and Spirit Box at the Xfinity Center, June 21st. Those tickets go on sale this Friday. Train is there in July. Chicago and Styx are going to be there at the end of July. Those tickets go on sale this Friday. The Motley Crue Carnival of Sins tour with Tesla and Extreme. Also Lynyrd Skynyrd and Foreigner, the Double Trouble Double Vision tour. Those tickets are already on sale as well, and more shows are getting announced all the time. Spirit Box this week at the Toyota Oakdale Theater. Bush, that's happening this week at the Mohegan Sun Arena with Soul Asylum. Heart is going to be at the SNHU Arena and at the Toyota Oakdale Theater. Creedmas on the 30th at the Mohegan Sun Arena with Sevendust. Ghost at Mohegan at the end of January. Kenny Wayne Shepherd at the Chevalier Theater in March. Pussifer at the Wang in April, and Rush at Mohegan Sun next October. And there are so many shows getting announced all the time. I'm getting them all updated. Wolfgang Van Halen just announced a Mammoth tour. Those dates are only going to be at the Toyota Oakdale Theater in Connecticut and up at the State Theater in Portland, Maine. But those dates are also up on the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Youngblood is going to be at Leader Bank Pavilion on June 9th of next year. Nothing announced for Fenway as of yet, but we do know that those Fenway shows always get announced after the new year to give everybody time to plan. Highly Suspect is going to be at the Palladium later this week. Friday, what do you have? Are you chewing on a bone over there? Huh? You being good? There you go. Keep chewing on your bone. You're being a very good girl. More Roadrunner shows are getting announced, so just keep listening for details on those and keep your eyes on the concert calendar. The MGM Music Hall at Fenway's got Sabaton and Pop Evil in March. The Dropkick Murphys residency right before, or right after Sabaton, I should say. The charity show is also out at MGM Springfield on March 25th. Black Label Society on the 4th at MGM Music Hall, and then Lamb of God at the end of April. House of Blues in Boston's got Nothing More at the end of February. The Dropkicks, The Hives, Alter Bridge with Filter and Tim Montana in May, and Wolf Mother next June. Let's see. Paradise Rock Club. All right, let me catch up with the comments. Marcy says, I really needed this tonight. Marcy, what's going on? I'm glad that you're here hanging out with us. Hold on. Let me scroll back and find out what's going on with Marcy. 85-year-old dad passed away this morning. Marcy, I'm so sorry. Oh, you guys, saw me go through losing my mom, not just physically losing her in December, but obviously finding out about her diagnosis and kind of struggling through all of those decisions over the last few years. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how old your parent is. Marcy's dad was 85. That is an amazing long life. It still sucks losing them. And my sister and I spent some time down at the cemetery over Thanksgiving. We went down and visited my mom at the cemetery, and it still doesn't seem normal that my mom's not here. Like even though it's the natural order that you're supposed to lose your parents aren't supposed to lose you. It's still not easy to lose your parents because you feel unanchored is the way that I describe it to people. When your parents are gone, that anchor to home, that anchor to your youth, that anchor to your family. It's not there, and it's really hard to explain until you've been through it. So Marcy, I'm sending you all the love in the world because I hate knowing how you feel, but I do. Let me get to the rest of these concert listings so that will you get off the table Friday before you fall and hurt yourself. The Del Fuegos are coming up at City Winery Boston, 2 shows. Those shows are also up on the concert calendar. Nothing announced for the stage at Suffolk Downs as of yet, but we do know that more shows are going to get announced. They had a bunch of shows there this year. They rehabbed the whole place at Suffolk Downs, so we definitely know that shows are getting announced. All right, new releases that are coming out on Friday. We're getting to that point in the year where it's a lot of collectible vinyl and a lot of reissues, but wait, what's going on? That was very weird. There we go. It's a lot of reissues and stuff by the end of the year, but everybody from Depeche Mode, their live album, to a reissue of Freddie Mercury's solo album, Mr. Bad Guy. There's also Letters to Cleo, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I got them all listed here. There's just a ton, including that Bob Marley, a tribute to Bob Marley with a bunch of artists paying tribute to Bob Marley. So there's a bunch of stuff, including a bunch of vinyl that's getting released in time for the holidays. But we are going to start slowing down with the new releases because by mid-December, if stuff is not released yet, the whole music industry kind of shuts down for the latter part of December. So, all right, mail call. I got the Thanksgiving card. Nothing says gratitude like a dead bird with pie up its butt. Hope your Thanksgiving is stuffed with happiness. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy, Carol. So I got this with my biscottis. Yeah, nothing says gratitude like the bread up the butt. We call it butt stuffing, by the way, in my family, as opposed to stuffing you cook on the stove and don't put up the butt. So butt stuffing. So thank you for the cookies, Carol. Trust me. Every time you send them, they are appreciated because we love them so much. If you're doing some online shopping, I had planned to do a big Cyber Monday sale, but obviously everything going on with the family over the last couple of weeks, I was not able to get it all together. But if you are doing some online shopping, there is the reflective beanies that are new in the shop, the plug-in Mistress Carrie Jack Rack that is selling like crazy. I've been packing these up every day. Super excited that you guys are ordering them and loving them. And also the new stickers that are featured in the sticker pack as well. So I am trying to get new stuff all the time stocked in the online Mistress Carrie store. In the spring, we are going to have some new designs of some tank tops and stuff as well. So there's always new stuff coming. And for Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass holders, the last live stream we did was on November 2nd. I think we're going to do a live stream this Sunday night, which is going to be December 7th. So I will send you guys out notification on the live stream for this weekend later on in the week. If you don't have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, it makes a great gift. You can submit podcast interview questions. You get travel blog updates, early access to ticket information, merch, discount codes, exclusive concert ticket giveaways, and the live stream we're going to do this weekend, guys. I am going to have some ticket giveaways for you guys for the holidays that you can either keep for yourselves or regift as a little holiday bonus. So make sure that you join the live stream this weekend. And a reminder of all the places that you can hang out with me online and all of the radio stations and radio station apps where you can listen to my various radio shows throughout the day. And one final plug for the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group. It is the holiday season. There are a lot of veterans that do not have family. There are a lot of disabled veterans that are struggling right now. And so we're always looking for people to help out with different posts and different organizations, whether it be donating stuff or volunteering. We're up over 4,000 members of the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group on Facebook, and it's growing all the time. So if you haven't joined it yet, just search Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock on Facebook. Join the group. It's open to the public, but this is only for veteran-related stuff. veterans nonprofits, veterans issues, veterans advocacy, veteran-owned companies, veterans looking for jobs and companies that are looking to hire veterans, volunteer opportunities, resources, answering questions. There's a lot of VSOs from different communities that follow this group that are there to try and help and pass along knowledge and connect people, especially disabled veterans and veterans, especially older veterans that never took advantage of their resources with the resources that you've earned. So if you have not yet joined the, something just flew by me. If you haven't joined the group yet, sign up online. Just go on Facebook, the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group. Something flying around. What the hell is going on? All right. All right, guys, that's it. We are at the end of the show. So I hope you guys had a fantastic Thanksgiving. And we got a bye week for the Pats this week. So this weekend, you have no excuse not to get the house decorated for the holidays. Finish up those leftovers because otherwise you're going to get salmonella. And I will see you guys next Tuesday. Don't forget the guys from Revis are on episode 287 of the Mistress Carrie podcast that goes live at midnight tonight. Good night, guys.